A big day and a big problem. Sunlight, pale and hesitant, filtered through the blinds, casting stripes across Mark's bedroom floor. He lay perfectly still, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Today was the day. His first day at Innovate Toys. The thought sent a jolt of exhilarating nerves through him, a feeling he hadn't experienced since Lily was born. This job, this incredible opportunity, meant everything. A fresh start, a chance to provide for his daughter, to build a stable life for them both. He glanced over at the bassinet beside his bed. Lily was still asleep, a tiny hand curled near her rosy cheek, her chest rising and falling with soft, even breaths. He pictured the bustling office, the vibrant prototypes, the buzz of creative energy. He couldn't wait to dive in, to prove himself worthy of this amazing break. His phone buzzed on the nightstand, a jarring intrusion into the peaceful morning. He reached for it, a flicker of irritation, then saw the caller ID, Mrs. Henderson. His babysitter. A knot tightened in his stomach. He answered, a polite, "Good morning, Mrs. Henderson." "Oh, Mark, darling, I am so dreadfully sorry." Her voice, usually a cheerful chirp, was raspy and weak. "I've woken up with the most awful fever. My head is pounding, and I can't stop coughing. I simply can't come today. I tried to call earlier, but I must have drifted back to sleep." Mark's heart sank, a heavy stone dropping into his gut. The vibrant office, the prototypes, the creative buzz, all of it evaporated, replaced by a cold wave of panic. "Oh. Right. I understand, Mrs. Henderson. Please, don't worry about it. Just get well soon." He ended the call, the phone feeling leaden in his hand. He stared at the ceiling, his mind racing. Who else could he call? His parents lived an hour away, already committed to a doctor's appointment. Friends? Most were at work themselves, or had their own children to wrangle. He had explored every option weeks ago when he first secured the job, and Mrs. Henderson was it. His only reliable, affordable help. A soft gurgle broke the silence. Lily stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She blinked, then stretched, a tiny yawn escaping her lips. Her gaze found his, and a wide, gummy smile lit up her face. She reached out a small hand, cooing softly, a sound that usually melted his stress away, but today, it only amplified the crushing dilemma. He sat up, leaning over the bassinet. Lily's eyes, bright and curious, tracked his every movement. She looked so innocent, so trusting. He couldn't leave her alone, not for a second. The thought was unthinkable. He couldn't call in sick on his very first day, not after everything he'd done to get this opportunity. He imagined the impression he'd make, the questions, the immediate doubt. He picked Lily up, cradling her close. Her warmth seeped into him, a small anchor in his swirling anxiety. He buried his face in her soft hair, inhaling the faint scent of baby powder. "What are we going to do, little one?" he whispered, his voice thick with worry. Lily responded with a happy squeal, batting at his chin. Her pure, unadulterated joy was a stark contrast to his own mounting despair. He looked around the small apartment, his gaze settling on his work bag, packed and ready for the day. Then, his eyes fell on Lily's diaper bag, sitting innocently by the door. An absurd, yet increasingly inevitable, idea began to form. He couldn't leave her. He wouldn't. There was only one option left. He had to bring her with him. His first day at Innovate Toys was about to become a lot more innovative. A secret passenger. Mark's hands trembled slightly as he reached for Lily. She was curled into a warm, sleepy ball, a tiny fist pressed against her cheek. A soft, contented gurgle escaped her lips as he carefully lifted her. Her eyes, the color of warm honey, fluttered open, blinking slowly at him. "Time for an adventure, little one," he whispered, his voice thick with a mixture of nerves and affection. He gently lowered her into the padded baby carrier, a soft, breathable fabric cocoon that she usually loved. She stirred, but didn't fuss, settling in with a small sigh. Next, the bag. Mark moved with a quiet urgency, pulling out items from the neatly organized drawers. 2 bottles of formula, pre-measured and ready. A small, fleece blanket, soft as a cloud, for extra warmth or comfort. A couple of crinkly, silent fabric books, their pages designed to engage without making a sound that might betray their presence. He double-checked the pacifier, a lifesaver in moments of distress, and a small, soft chew toy shaped like a friendly star. Every item was chosen for its practicality and, crucially, its quietness. His new office might be a haven, but it wasn't soundproof, and the last thing he needed was an unexpected squeak. He slung the bag over his shoulder, the weight a constant reminder of the precious cargo he was about to smuggle. His heart hammered against his ribs. This was a colossal risk, a gamble with his new job, his future, Lily's future. But what choice did he have? The image of Lily in a daycare, her bright eyes dimmed by separation, was a pain he couldn't bear to inflict. He knelt, positioning the carrier on the floor, envisioning the layout of his new cubicle. A small corner, tucked away from the main thoroughfare. He'd place the carrier beneath his desk, perhaps draping the blanket over the front to provide extra concealment and a sense of den-like security for Lily. He practiced leaning down, checking on her, miming the motion of offering a bottle, all without drawing attention. He'd need to be quick, subtle, almost invisible. A bead of sweat traced a path down his temple. This wasn't just about keeping Lily quiet, it was about keeping her existence a secret. The thought sent a fresh wave of panic through him, but beneath it, a current of fierce resolve flowed. He had to make this work. For Lily, he would become a master of discretion, a silent guardian. He took a deep, steadying breath, then another, the sweet scent of Lily's baby shampoo a comforting anchor in his sea of anxiety. "We can do this, sweet pea," he murmured, stroking her tiny head through the mesh of the carrier. "We're a team." Hiding in plain sight. The automatic doors of Miller & Sons clicked open with a familiar whoosh, a sound that usually signaled the start of another productive day. Today, however, it felt like the opening of a grand, terrifying stage. Mark clutched his worn briefcase in one hand, the other subtly adjusting the baby carrier slung low by his side. He tried to project an air of nonchalant professionalism, a man simply starting his workday. His gaze swept across the bustling lobby, past the reception desk where Brenda was already fielding calls, and towards the elevators. He kept his head down, a faint blush creeping up his neck. Reaching his cubicle on the 3rd floor felt like summiting Everest. He slid into his chair, the worn fabric a familiar comfort, though today it offered little solace. The carrier, thankfully, was compact. With a quiet grunt, Mark angled it beneath his desk, nudging it back until it was largely obscured by the modesty panel and his own legs. Lily, nestled inside, gurgled softly, her tiny fingers batting at a plush star hanging above her. He offered a silent prayer of thanks for her unusual calm. He fired up his computer, the glow of the screen illuminating the anxiety etched on his face. His fingers, usually so nimble, fumbled with the mouse. Today's task: refine the prototype for the new Starlight Explorer playset. It was a complex design, full of intricate gears and glowing constellations, demanding his full attention. He clicked open the CAD software, the familiar interface a welcome anchor in the swirling chaos of his mind. Hours bled into a blur of focused work. The hum of the office, the distant murmur of conversations, the clack of keyboards, all receded as Mark plunged into the world of miniature spaceships and whimsical planets. He sketched, he rendered, he tweaked. With each precise line and carefully placed component, a small part of his tension eased. He found a peculiar comfort in the precision, a stark contrast to the unpredictable reality currently hidden beneath his desk. Every so often, he'd glance down. Lily remained a model of quiet contentment. Her wide, curious eyes followed the gentle sway of the plush star. A tiny sigh, a soft coo, but nothing that would draw unwanted attention. Mark felt a surge of both relief and profound gratitude. She was, he realized, his secret weapon, his tiny, innocent accomplice. He was doing this for her, for their future, and that thought fueled his resolve, pushing away the persistent tremor of fear that lingered just beneath the surface. He just had to keep her hidden, a precious, vulnerable secret in plain sight. The fussy moment. The office's gentle thrum had finally settled Mark into a semblance of peace. He'd just finished the quarterly report, the final digit entered with a quiet exhalation of relief. Lily, nestled in her makeshift laundry basket bed beneath his desk, remained remarkably still, her soft breaths the sole indication of her presence. Mark leaned back, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. He was going to succeed. He was actually going to pull this off. Then, a subtle sound pierced the quietude. A soft whimper, scarcely louder than a sigh, yet it sent a jolt through him. His eyes snapped open, darting to the basket. Lily's tiny face was scrunched, a miniature frown etched between her brows. Another whimper followed, a little stronger this time, accompanied by a small hiccup. Panic, cold and sharp, seized Mark. He recognized that sound. It was the precursor to a full-blown wail, the kind that reverberated through walls and announced itself to anyone within earshot. He reached down, fingers fumbling for the small cooler bag stashed beside the basket. From it, he retrieved a pre-mixed bottle, the formula still warm from the thermos. "Shoo, sweet pea, SH," he murmured, his voice a low, urgent whisper. Carefully, he lifted Lily, cradling her against his chest. Her whimpers had escalated to soft, persistent cries, her little hands batting at the air. He offered her the bottle, and she latched on instantly, her tiny mouth working with surprising vigor. Mark began a gentle sway, a slow, rhythmic motion he hoped would soothe her. He hummed a tuneless melody, his chin resting on her soft head, the blended scents of baby lotion and warm milk filling his senses. Every nerve in his body was on high alert. He scanned the office, his gaze flitting from cubicle to cubicle. Had anyone heard? Had that initial, soft whimper traveled further than he'd thought? The occasional keyboard click, the distant drone of a phone call, these were the only sounds he could discern above Lily's soft sucking. He imagined every head swiveling, every ear perking up, every whisper ceasing as the office discovered his secret. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of anxiety. He tightened his embrace, pressing Lily a little closer, as if to shield her, and himself, from the impending revelation. The moment stretched, a fragile, taut wire spanning a chasm of uncertainty. A boss's discovery. The rhythmic hum of the office air conditioning was a familiar, almost comforting drone to Mark. He typed, one hand expertly navigating the keyboard, the other subtly jiggling the bassinet tucked beneath his desk. Lily had been remarkably good, a few soft gurgles and the occasional sigh being the only evidence of her presence. He felt a sliver of relief, a fragile hope that he might make it through the day undetected. Then, a shadow fell across his monitor. Mark's fingers froze mid-keystroke. The scent of crisp linen and a faint, sophisticated aftershave wafted past. He didn't need to look up, he knew that elegant, slightly imposing figure anywhere. "Mr. Harrison." The man moved with a quiet authority, his polished shoes making barely a whisper on the carpet. Mark's heart began to hammer against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of impending doom. He hunched slightly, trying to make himself smaller, more invisible. Mr. Harrison was nearing the end of the aisle, a casual patrol through his kingdom. Mark braced himself, anticipating the moment his boss would sweep past, oblivious. But then, a soft, inquisitive goo-goo drifted from beneath Mark's desk. It was Lily, a tiny, innocent sound that might as well have been a siren. The footsteps stopped. Mark squeezed his eyes shut for a fraction of a second, a silent plea to the universe. When he opened them, he saw the edge of Mr. Harrison's tailored trousers, perfectly creased, just beside his chair. The air in the office seemed to thicken, every keystroke, every hushed phone conversation fading into the background. Mark could feel the heat rising in his cheeks. Slowly, deliberately, Mr. Harrison began to bend. Mark watched, mesmerized and horrified, as his boss's frame lowered, revealing first a glimpse of a neatly knotted tie, then the silver of his well-maintained hair, finally the kind, discerning eyes that now focused intently on the space beneath Mark's workstation. Lily, oblivious to the drama unfolding above her, lifted a tiny fist and gurgled again, a bright, curious sound. A small, almost imperceptible smile touched the corners of Mr. Harrison's lips. "Mr. Harrison, sir," Mark blurted out, his voice a tight, strangled whisper. He pushed his chair back, the wheels squeaking in the sudden silence, and began to rise, his hands gesturing vaguely. "I can explain, I really can. There was a situation. With the sitter. It was unavoidable, I promise you, I wouldn't normally," his words tumbled out, a desperate, rambling confession, each syllable feeling heavier than the last. He braced himself for the censure, the disappointment, the inevitable conversation that would lead to his termination. 3 life-changing words. The hurried words tumbled from Mark's mouth, a desperate jumble of apologies and explanations about the daycare mix-up, the sudden illness of the babysitter, and the absolute impossibility of finding last-minute care. His gaze flickered between Mr. Harrison's unreadable face and Lily, who, thankfully, was currently occupied with a soft rattle clutched in her tiny hand, her coos a gentle counterpoint to Mark's rising panic. He expected a reprimand, a stern reminder of company policy, perhaps even a warning about the precariousness of his position. Mr. Harrison, however, merely raised a hand, a quiet gesture that instantly stemmed the flow of Mark's anxious monologue. The sudden silence in the spacious office was deafening, broken only by Lily's contented gurgles. Mark's heart hammered against his ribs, convinced this was the prelude to the inevitable dismissal. He braced himself, watching as Mr. Harrison's eyes, usually sharp with the focus of a seasoned businessman, softened. They weren't fixed on Mark, nor on the pile of urgent reports on his desk. Instead, they rested on Lily. A warmth spread across Mr. Harrison's face, a gentle smile replacing his earlier, more neutral expression. He leaned slightly forward, his gaze fixed on the baby, who, sensing the shift in attention, looked up with wide, curious eyes. Lily offered a soft, experimental squeal, a sound that usually melted Mark's own anxieties but now only intensified his dread. Mark waited, his breath caught in his throat. He watched the subtle crinkling at the corners of Mr. Harrison's eyes as Lily giggled, a tiny bubble of joy in the otherwise tense room. Mr. Harrison's gaze met Mark's for a fleeting second, then returned to the infant. The air crackled with unspoken meaning, and Mark felt a strange mix of hope and terror. Then, Mr. Harrison spoke, his voice calm and clear, cutting through Mark's internal turmoil. "Bring her in." Mark blinked. The words hung in the air, echoing in his mind. "Bring her in?" He stared at Mr. Harrison, searching for a hidden meaning, a catch. Had he misheard? Was it a trick? His mind scrambled, replaying the phrase, trying to fit it into the context of his expected scolding. Confusion warred with a fragile, burgeoning hope. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Lily, sensing the change in atmosphere, looked from her dad to the kind-faced boss, a silent question in her innocent eyes. Mark felt a tremor of disbelief. Could it really be that simple? A new beginning. The silence in Mr. Harrison's office stretched, thick with Mark's unspoken fear. He clutched the strap of Lily's diaper bag tighter, his gaze fixed on a framed photograph of a sailboat on the wall, anywhere but directly at his boss. He braced himself for the inevitable, for the polite but firm dismissal that would send him back to square one, only now with the added burden of knowing he tried and failed spectacularly. Then Mr. Harrison's warm smile broadened, chasing away the shadows of Mark's anxiety. "Mark," he began, his voice a calm balm, "I understand your situation. Believe me, I do. Family, in my book, comes first. Always has, always will, at Harrison and Company." He gestured around the spacious office with a reassuring sweep of his hand. "We pride ourselves on being more than just a workplace, we're a community. And communities look out for their own. Mark blinked, trying to process the words, to reconcile them with the dire scenarios he'd played out 100 times in his head. This wasn't the rejection he'd anticipated. In fact, Mr. Harrison continued, leaning forward slightly, his eyes sparkling with a genuine kindness that disarmed Mark completely, we have a small, quiet room on the second floor. It's usually for employees who need a moment of peace, perhaps for meditation or just a break from the hustle. It's private, has a comfortable armchair, and it's perfect for a baby's nap or a quick change. He paused, letting the implications sink in. We can set it up for Lily. There's even a small fridge in the communal kitchen nearby for storing any expressed milk or baby food. The world seemed to tilt back into alignment. The knot in Mark's chest, which had been tightening for weeks, suddenly unraveled. A wave of profound relief, so potent it almost buckled his knees, washed over him. He swallowed hard, his throat unexpectedly tight. This wasn't just a reprieve, it was a lifeline, a new beginning he hadn't dared to dream of. Mr. Harrison, Mark managed, his voice hoarse with emotion, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. His eyes, which had been dry with anxiety for so long, now welled up, blurring the edges of the room. He blinked rapidly, embarrassed by the sudden surge of tears, but he couldn't stop the overwhelming gratitude that swelled within him. Lily, oblivious in her carrier, let out a soft gurgle, as if in agreement. Mr. Harrison chuckled softly, a gentle sound that instantly put Mark at ease. No need for thanks, Mark. Just do your excellent work, and take good care of that little one. That's all I ask. He rose from his desk, a gesture of finality and acceptance. Now, why don't you take Lily to see her new, quiet room? I'll have someone show you the way and get it set up to your liking. Mark nodded, still struggling to articulate the depth of his feelings. He stood, Lily's carrier feeling significantly lighter in his hand, his heart overflowing. The weight of the world, which had pressed down on him with suffocating force, had been lifted in a single, benevolent conversation. His life, and Lily's, had just changed irrevocably, for the better. The future, once a daunting, impenetrable fog, now shimmered with the promise of a clear, bright path. Lily's office adventures. The morning sun, filtered through the office blinds, cast long, striped shadows across the carpet as Mark confidently strode to his desk. Today, there was no hesitation, no furtive glances. The carrier, adorned with smiling fabric animals, was placed gently beside his workstation, a silent testament to Mr. Harrison's unexpected kindness. Lily, already awake and alert, cooed softly, her bright eyes scanning the new environment. Good morning, superstar, Mark whispered, untangling a small, plush octopus from the mesh pocket. He set it within her reach, along with a brightly colored rattle. Lily immediately reached for the octopus, her tiny fingers grasping its soft tentacles with surprising strength. As the office slowly filled, a ripple of smiles followed Lily's cheerful gurgles. Sarah from marketing paused, wiggling her fingers at the carrier. Lily responded with a wide, toothless grin, a universal language that instantly melted hearts. Even Mr. Henderson, usually gruff and preoccupied, offered a soft, morning, little one, as he passed, a rare warmth in his voice. Mark felt an unfamiliar lightness. The gnawing anxiety that had been a constant companion since Lily's arrival was replaced by a quiet sense of purpose. He wasn't just working for himself anymore, he was working for Lily, and the entire office seemed to be her unwitting cheer squad. He typed with renewed vigor, the clack of the keyboard a rhythmic counterpoint to Lily's gentle babbling. Her presence wasn't a distraction, it was a constant, gentle hum of inspiration. His task for the day was brainstorming new toy concepts for toddlers, and with Lily as his muse, ideas flowed effortlessly. He envisioned a set of textured blocks, perfect for tiny hands to explore, just like Lily was currently attempting to mount the octopus's head. He sketched a soft, musical mobile that would play soothing lullabies, imagining Lily's contented sighs as she drifted off to sleep. Every design, every color scheme, every material choice was filtered through the lens of her innocent curiosity. "This one," he murmured, holding up a sketch of a brightly colored stacking ring for Lily to see. She let out an excited gurgle, reaching for the paper with outstretched arms. "You like that, huh? My little helper." The day passed in a productive blur. Mark presented his preliminary concepts to his team, his voice imbued with a new confidence. The ideas were fresh, innovative, and deeply empathetic to a child's developmental needs. His colleagues, accustomed to his quieter contributions, were visibly impressed. They didn't know the full story of his inspiration, but they saw the results: a man transformed, his work imbued with a new passion. And occasionally, a faint, sweet gurgle from the corner of the office served as a gentle reminder of the joy Lily brought, not just to Mark, but to them all. A happy family and a thriving career. Years melted into each other, each one bringing new milestones and deeper roots. The once tiny bundle Mark clutched so desperately was now a whirlwind of giggles and bright-eyed curiosity. Lily, a happy little girl with a cascade of dark curls that bounced as she moved, was a familiar and cherished fixture at Harrison's Whimsical Wonders. Her small, brightly colored shoes skittered across the polished floors of the main office, a sound as commonplace as the hum of the computers. She knew everyone, offering shy waves to designers sketching new prototypes and receiving exaggerated winks from the marketing team. Her favorite spot was under the sprawling ficus tree in the reception area, where she'd arrange a collection of miniature plastic animals in elaborate, silent narratives. Mark watched her from his desk, a comfortable smile playing on his lips. His corner of the office, once an isolated island of anxiety, was now a vibrant hub of activity. He'd not only mastered the intricacies of toy design but had become indispensable, his innovative ideas breathing fresh life into several struggling product lines. His desk, no longer pristine, held a scattering of Lily's crayon drawings alongside technical blueprints, a testament to the seamless blend of his two worlds. He was often sought out for his keen eye for detail and his surprising ability to predict market trends. The shy, worried man who'd first pushed through those doors was gone, replaced by a confident, respected professional. He leaned back in his chair, the squeak of the springs a familiar companion, and his gaze lingered on Lily. She was attempting to stack 3 brightly colored foam blocks, her tongue peeking out in concentration. A wave of profound gratitude, potent and overwhelming, washed over him. He remembered that terrifying first morning, the cold sweat on his palms, the desperate plea forming on his lips as he braced himself for the inevitable dismissal. The memory was sharp, the fear still a phantom ache in his chest. He could still hear the hushed whispers of his colleagues, the pitying glances, the certainty that his career, and by extension his ability to provide for Lily, was over. Then, Mr. Harrison's voice, calm and unyielding, cutting through the haze of Mark's despair. "Bring her in." 3 simple words, yet they had been the foundation upon which he had rebuilt his entire life. 3 words that had not only saved his job but had gifted him the precious, irreplaceable years with his daughter. He hadn't missed a single first step, a single new word, or a single infectious laugh. He'd been present for all of it, weaving his professional success around the vibrant tapestry of fatherhood. Lily finally succeeded in stacking the blocks, a triumphant "tada," echoing softly through the office. She looked up, her blue eyes, so like her mother's, sparkling as she met his gaze. Mark pushed back his chair, the familiar sense of purpose and joy swelling within him. He stood, stretching out a hand to her. "Come on, sunshine," he said, his voice warm with affection. "Let's go see what new adventures await us today." He knew, with an unwavering certainty, that whatever those adventures were, they would face them together, a happy family, and a thriving career.